And to legal issues now, the Rivers State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Abuja today listened to testimony from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. One of the officials of INEC who supervised the election claims that there was electoral violence and the process was marred by thuggery and ballot snatching. But the lawyer to the PDP disagrees.
If you have a proper understanding of the evidence led by the witness, there's no contradiction. You see, if you say security agents were on ground and certain things were happening, they were not arrested. So, of course, he was entitled to say that if they looked away when these things were happening, obviously there must be some level, you see, of compromise. But again, the officers who came to testify, they also gave evidence of the level of violence, you see, that occurred that day. And the policemen at the polling unit levels, even those who are committing materials, were not armed. So obviously, what could they have done? So the evidence didn't contradict in any way, you see, what others said.
The man has given his evidence. He said he wrote a report which he didn't pass through the state officials, but which he nonetheless said represented the official position. That, I'm sure, will be looked at critically at an appropriate stage, and we will address the issue, whether that indeed was an official position of the INEC. Because we all watched and listened to Professor Jega and some other INEC officials during the conduct of the election. His position then and what this gentleman brought today would appear to be in conflict. So we look at it. Could Jega be lying, or could this gentleman be serving a purpose other than wanting to assist the tribunal to arrive at the truth of what actually happened?
Up next is business news on the news at 10. Emma Amawe is standing by to take us through.
You first. First Bank.
Hello, it's time to talk business. Nigeria's Interbank lending rate fell 75 basis points to an average of 6.50% on Friday, from 8.25% last week as cash built up in the banking system. Traders say about 101 billion naira in matured treasury bills was paid on Thursday, and 45 billion naira in cash reserve requirement refunds also flowed into the banking system. Also, Nigeria's central bank declined to sell short-dated treasury bills to commercial lenders in the last 2 weeks. That left more cash in the banking system. The lenders' balance with the central bank stood at about 300 billion naira on Friday, and that's higher than the 261 billion naira in credit last week. The traders quoted the secured open buyback at 6% on Friday, much lower than 8% last week and 9 percentage points lower than the central bank's 13% benchmark interest rate. And a shutdown of trading of Nigerian government bonds was averted this week as the Financial Markets Dealers Quotation, that's the FMDQ, activated its standby volatility management framework on the news from New York-based JP Morgan that FGN bonds are being delisted from its emerging markets index. On Wednesday, the trading platform for bonds, treasuries, currencies and other commercial assets intervened by widening the spreads for FGN bonds to 100 kobo from 30 kobo previously, thus ensuring the continuity of the markets after the initial panic reaction that shot yields to 17%. Analysts at the investment firm Finvest told Channels Television earlier today that yields on the listed government bonds closed positive on Thursday and were stable on Friday as local investors waded into the fixed income market and averted a meltdown. And Fitch Ratings has affirmed Lagos State's foreign currency issuer default ratings, that's IDR, at BB- with negative outlook. The state's short-term foreign IDR is, however, rated at B. And while the agency affirmed the state's long-term local currency IDR at BB-, The national long-term rating is put at AA+ with stable outlooks. Fitch simultaneously affirmed the region's 275 billion naira MTN program as well as its 2017 and 2019 bonds at long-term local currency BB- and national long-term AA+. The affirmation reflects Fitch's expectation of Lagos State's continued strong operating performance. In the meantime, the agency withdrew Kaduna State's long-term foreign and local currency IDRs of B+ and its national long-term rating of A+ with stable outlooks. Fitch says the withdrawal follows Kaduna State's termination of its participation in the rating process. At the equities markets, the stock market took a turnaround from its 2 days of bearish trade to close the last session of the week 0.91% uptick. Here's Temple Ashaju with more on the numbers.
Hello and welcome to Stock Market Reports. Investors heaved a sigh of relief on Friday after days of bearish trade at the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The benchmark index edged up 0.91% to close today's trading session at 29,689.08. The market recovery was noticed in the shares of Guinness, Nigerian breweries, and of course Dangote Cement as they topped the advances list. Guinness gained 14 naira 14 kobo, while Nigerian breweries recorded a price gain of 3 naira 77 kobo, and Dangote Cement ticked 3 naira in its share price. On the other hand, oil marketing stocks led on the laggards list. Forte Oil and Total shared 11 naira 74 kobo and 6 naira 88 kobo from their share prices each. On the volume chart, banking stocks maintains their lead as UBA recorded 36.2 million shares, coming ahead of FBN Holdings and MTI. When the closing gong sounded, more than 201 million shares had been exchanged for 2.3 billion naira in 3,480 deals. And that does it for the last trading session of the week. I'm Temple Ashaju.
Many thanks, Temple. Well, let's go over to the crude oil markets. Prices fell today after Goldman Sachs slashed its price forecast through next year. Investors also transacted based on the global equity markets as worries over the economic outlook and Federal Reserve's interest rate hike next week impacted on prices. U.S. crude settled down $1.29 at $44.63 a barrel. The front month in Brent, the global benchmark for oil, sit 75 cents to settle at $48.14 a barrel. Well, stay tuned as we take a look at more figures from the global equities markets. And that's a package on business news tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Emana Amawe. Kimba Uma will be back with the rest of the news at 10.
You first. First Bank.
And still ahead on the news at 10. Roberta Vinci shatters Serena Williams' ambition of a Grand Slam of US Open semi-finals. That's the sports news. Stay with us.